what you want, what you want.
Welcome to another edition of Blitz Extra here on GhostandAngelo.com. I am Quentin Martinez, the Lakeview beat writer. Of course, sitting next to me is our assistant sports editor, Paul Harris, who has the central beat on lockdown. And then on my other side is Mike Wisson, who takes care of the area. He gets all of the Concho Valley and West Texas, so all the football games are going on around the region. So between the three of us, we hopefully have everything on lockdown here for you at the standard times. But start off, of course, with this edition of Blitz Extra by talking about last week. And when you talk about last week, I think it was mentioned a couple times. Maybe it was that classic trap game for the Central Bobcats coming off of that big showdown with Amarillo High, and the Bobcats passed with flying colors.
That's right. They didn't let down at all. A big 46-14 win, and kind of a break for the Bobcats fans not to have to go down to the wire for once and just get to enjoy a nice big win for Central. Lubbock High made it a little scary. They jumped up 7-0 with a fumble return, but Central scored the next 39 points to run away with the game. It was never in question. And individually, some great performances. Quarterback Logan Sawyer, he continued his ridiculous start to the year. He threw 4 touchdowns, ran for another. He's now thrown for 21 touchdowns this year with just 1 interception. Wide receiver Corey Lopez, he had 2 more touchdown catches last Friday. Another 100-yard game for him, coming off the big game against Amarillo High the week earlier. And then running back Davon Poole had his second 100-yard game as a Bobcat. So 3 big performances there. And then sophomore Mickey Scott, he's been seeing some playing time on defense as a defensive back. He had 3 sacks. And then offensively, he's a backup quarterback. He came in, led the offense to a late touchdown, scored his first varsity touchdown for the Bobcats. So kind of a glimpse of the future as well, and a nice big win for Central, improving to 3-0, closing in on a district title.
Move over to the Lakeview Chiefs, who were on the road last week at Waco ISD Stadium, and that stadium is one that I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are going to be pretty happy to have in the rearview mirror. They lose 71-0 last week to Waco High in a game where they had -6 yards of total offense. They achieved just 1 first down, and that was on a roughing the punter call. They just could never get anything going, and a lot of that was because starting quarterback Alan Moreno was knocked out of the game on the second series, and backup quarterback Barney Keel was ruled out on Tuesday after re-injuring his ankle, which he had hurt earlier in the season. So they had to go to third-string quarterback Dylan Gilbert, who had some difficulties with the quarterback-center exchange. So he fumbled a couple of those. So it was just an all-in-all difficult night for Lakeview's offense. And defensively, they weren't able to really do anything to slow down the Waco High offense. Darryl Harris was among 4 different running backs that rushed for at least 75 yards against the Chiefs. So it was a very difficult night. And Doug Kuhlman will admit that, and he just wants to see his offense show a little bit better this time around. Even though they were kind of going in as the underdogs, he really expected his team to perform much better than what they did on Friday night. So he's hoping to overcome that and go out to clean on Friday night and look for a better showing. Finishing up last week, you talk about Game of the Week, which you had a chance to go check out Sterling City, one of the best 6-man teams in the area, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely, and it turned into the Cooper Hinderleiter show with Hunter Hughes on the sideline with an injury that happened late Thursday at practice. Cooper Hinderleiter stepped into the role and had a really big night, rushing for 416 yards and 7 touchdowns. Tell you, this was a game the Eagles led early, led 26-0 after the first quarter, 38-8 at halftime, but the unbeaten to that point, Trent kind of really came out for the second half and turned the game into a track meet the rest of the way with just, both teams trading scores, trying to hang on for the win. On top of Hinderleiter's 416-yard performance, Kobe Wright, who had stepped into that role Hinderleiter normally serves in, ran for 178 yards and 6 touchdowns and just 14 carries in his first start at the position. So a really big win for the Eagles to start District 1-0. Hughes is out at least next week as well, but it seems like in a matter of time until he comes back that the Eagles will be okay with Hinderleiter and Wright running the show. And in unbeaten teams in the area, Wall, Sonora in 2A, Mason 1A and 6-man ranks, Water Valley and Richland Springs all remain unbeaten on the season, winning their games this week pretty big.
Looks like there might be a possibility of several teams around West Texas making some deep playoff runs, so keep an eye on that. Talking about this week upcoming now, the Lakeview Chiefs continue on the road. That they go out to clean Leo Buckley Stadium. I know Paul, you had a chance to visit that stadium earlier this year with the Central Bobcats, but the Chiefs had the tough task of going against Killeen, who, on paper you see that Stephenville beat Killeen 37-33 last week. You don't realize that the Killeen Kangaroos had a 12-point lead with 5 minutes to play, and Stephenville managed to overcome that and get the game-winning kickoff return with just 50 seconds to play in that contest for Stephenville to win that game. So Killeen's a much more dangerous team than their 1-2 district record would suggest. They have a sophomore quarterback in Garrett Gaskamp, who has not really been spectacular this year, but just solid enough, done the things the Roos need him to do for them to be successful. They spread the ball around a lot more than they did last year. That offense for Killeen was based on their quarterback and one running back. And this year, 4 different running backs have over 370 yards of rushing, and their quarterback is a rushing threat as well. So that's something that the Lakeview Chiefs are going to have to contend with. And Lakeview still doesn't know exactly who they're going to have under center, if Alan Moreno is going to be healthy enough to go, or if Barney Hill can come back. Otherwise, they might be going again for the 3rd time this year with Dylan Gilbert, a 3rd-string quarterback. So, that is something else that you have to look at right now and see if the Chiefs can be more effective moving the ball than they have been the last 2 times. Gilbert has started for the Lakeview Chiefs in difficult road situations. For his team. You talk about the Central Bobcats on the other hand. They have a game. Maybe quite a bit of a step up in competition from what they saw last week.
Yeah, definitely. And Monterey has kind of been a thorn in Central's side for a while. Since they moved to the same district 13 years ago, Central's only beat them 3 times. And the last time Central was closing in on a district title in 2003, it was Monterey that tripped Central up in Week 9. So historically, kind of a scary opponent for Central heading down the stretch. This year Monterey was off to a 2-0 start in district. Last week they got tripped up by Amarillo High pretty good, 42-21. Amarillo High was actually leading 35-0 in that game, just kind of taking control with their run power offense that they have. Monterey scored 3 times in the last 5 minutes to make the score look a little closer. But the big player to watch for Monterey is junior running back Byron Parker. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, and he had his 3rd straight 100-yard game last week. And this season, on a couple occasions, Central's kind of struggled to stop those big, powerful backs. And so if there's an X factor in this game for Monterey, I think Parker could be it.
Senior night out at San Angelo Stadium for the Central Bobcats, so you have that to look forward to if you're heading out to the stadium. Now, this week in the area, another big, huge clash in our game of the week, and it looks like Mason's going to be locked in 2 of these in a row to finish the season, Mike.
Right, yeah, Mason Goldthwaite seems like it could be the game of the week every year around this time. Just a really long-standing rivalry between these 2 teams. Goldthwaite seemed to have Mason's number as of late, hanging 2 losses on the Punchers last year. They're only 2 losses of the season, but this year the Punchers look, poised to kind of get past Goldthwaite. Should be a really good game and interesting district ramifications coming off that one as well. Another game that we ought to be looking at is Junction at Coleman. Coleman's been kind of the surprise team of the season after going 0-10 last year. They're sitting at 3-0 in district, coming off a huge win over San Saba last week. But Junction sitting at 2-1 in district and could solidify their playoff chances with a big win over Coleman this week.
A lot of people surprised with what the Coleman Blue Cats have been able to do this year. Maybe people didn't expect it coming into the season. They would contend not only for a district title, but possibly a playoff spot, obviously. Anything that you're looking at this week, Paul?
Yeah, one a little farther outside the area, Garden City at Rankin. Garden City, they lost to Fort Davis last week, 38-34, and so now the Bearcats, coming off their back-to-back state titles, are in danger of not making the playoffs at all. They're going to have to win at a good Rankin team, a state-ranked Rankin team, if they want to stay in the playoff chase. So huge game for Garden City this week.
Hard to believe the 2-time defending state champions might not even be making the playoffs this year, but that's definitely the case. We'll keep you up to date on here with GoSanAngelo.com and the Blitz Extra. We thank you for watching another week of the Blitz Extra. Of course, don't forget you can check us out on Facebook. We have our West Texas football page, as well as on Twitter with the hashtag BlitzWTFB. Give you all the updates on Friday night. And, of course, on GoSanAngelo.com, we have your scores and progress as they go. We have play-by-play from Central and Lakeview. So a lot of stuff to look forward to if you're following high school football in West Texas here on GoSanAngelo.com. So we appreciate you watching. We'll see you again next week for another edition of the Blitz Extra.